Hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman Show. I'm so delighted to introduce you to another one of our alchemistic keynote speakers and amazing experts. Shelley F Knight is an author and a coach, and she's a bit of a feisty self-help guru. She's had a lot of experience in the world of self-help, healing, care, but also she's really passionate about us living our best life because Shelley's worked a lot in the arena of helping to pass souls over to their next life. So, Shelley, welcome to the Alexandra Wenman Show. Thank you so, so much for joining me here, and also huge gratitude for joining us for Alchymystic this November. We're so excited to have you.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much for having me here and then down in Glastonbury in November. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, I want to really delve into your work now. So obviously you're a coach and you're an author and you do help to kick people in the butt to make sure they're on the right path, right?
Yeah.
So what led you into the work that you're currently doing?
Well, I'm actually from a very, those plonky ticks box careers of a nurse. That's what I did for many years. And so, yeah, I was very clinical minded. I worked in acute medicine, so lots of medicine. And then I worked in hematology and oncology. So I was a chemotherapy nurse and more medicine. But I just changed as a person. I'm quite open with all my followers that I had the sudden death of my dad, the lovely Badger, in 2005. And from that, I learned that actually in healthcare, there's a lot of death. And it took me on this journey. I'm always on this journey. I think it is my life path, really, to sort of see how we move on after loss, who we are without certain people in our life, what ultimately is life about. And I think from losing dad, an infertility journey from hell and other things like that, I think that's where my feistiness come. I think my filter fell out somewhere along the way, but I'm just determined to live my best life, especially after something changes in my life or there's loss, And so, yeah, I've just got feisty along the way. And now I don't work clinically, unless you cast coaching as clinically. I am all about the spiritual person, really, the spiritual being that we are. And I wrote about that in Good Grief, the A to Z approach of modern day grief healing, because I think it's really important that when we speak about grief, or one, that we speak about it in the first place, but, I want it to be spoken about whether you're clinical, spiritual, don't know what you are in the middle, because we're always experiencing loss. I can laugh and joke about some aspects of it. Otherwise, I think I'd go mad. But I just wanted people to be more open about the loss in their life and how you move on.
Can we talk a little bit about the nature of grief here? Because I think that obviously we have the obvious side of grief. We have grief as a result of losing a loved one as they pass over, and grief from death, or grief from, loss of a loved one. But there's many different facets of grief, isn't there?
Yeah, and that was really key for me to get that message out there. And I define grief as the loss of anything with which we have an emotional connection. So, yeah, when a loved one dies, but it's like when a relationship ends, when a job ends, your dreams, your confidence. I had loss of health with long COVID. And when we lose these things in our life, the things that make up our existence, part of who we are, it's a loss. But we don't really speak about it in society. We wouldn't say like, oh, I'm grieving because my boyfriend dumped me. I'm grieving because I don't have my level of health. I'm grieving because my dreams didn't come true, or I lost money. And so I think when we find ourselves in this loss, because grief's not applied to it openly, we probably think we're going mad, and we've got anxiety and depression, and you might get physical things like sore throats, skin changes. So many things happen, but people don't realize it's like a grief process that's been triggered by this loss. And I'd love the world to embrace that, to know, you're not going mad when someone dumps you. Even if you choose to end something, like, when we leave a job we've done for years because it no longer serves us, that can still be a grief response, because, it's still a connection that's ended.
I think we can even grieve things that we thought we wanted that we haven't yet got, can't we? We can grieve the loss of, the anticipation of something coming to us, and then perhaps it not working out. I know you mentioned a fertility journey. I myself have been through a pretty hardcore fertility journey, and that feeling of longing for something that then doesn't eventuate can be pretty hard, can't it?
Yeah, big time. I mean, I think if I look back now, I think I probably was pregnant when like Badger Dad died, and that was the first of many. And when you have a loss like that, like with pregnancy, you really never trust a pregnancy. It's always a very fragile thing. So you sort of lose that enjoyment, you lose that trust. And I think that's the thing, like when we have a loss in our life, it's, like when I have a miscarriage, I'm not just, it's not just about that loss, it's all the ones that went before it. And then it brings up about my dad, my grandparents, and the jobs they didn't get, the boys that left me. And it's never a singular loss, it's always secondary. Yeah.
On the flip side, what in your experience would you say are some of the, I guess, the gifts of grief? Obviously we as humans, we overcome and we move on. Have you experienced on a personal level big breakthroughs as a result of working with your grief, and have you seen that in others?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite strange here. I think it's very English thing, like stiff upper lip, don't cry, move on kind of thing. And I don't want anyone to ever think that's what my work's about. I mean, like if you look on Facebook, it's Shelley F Knight, life goes on. And the life goes on is because what Badger used to say, it will be all right when life goes on. That's all he ever used to say. So it's kind of in memory of my dad. But I just think when we go through things in life, we go through them for a reason, and we don't see the reason at the time, but there will be a lesson that will come at some point in the future. And I don't want people to sticky plaster it and move on when they have a loss. You always think of those amusements, by the seaside. It's called whack-a-mole, where you got this little,
yes.
Yeah, and you think like, I'm just going to stick my grief down. You're just literally whacking that loss and that loss and that loss. You turn into this crazy thing trying to do whack-a-mole with your emotions, but it will come up at some point. And I just think we should really look for the gift in our grief, in the, just really feel it. And we want to be numb to it, don't we? Like drink it away, deny it, whack it kind of thing. And I have this really annoying saying, I'm sure I annoy my clients, my students and my children, but if you can feel it, you can heal it. And I know it's really cheesy, Al, I know, but there is an element to it, look, what you acknowledge, you can change. It's only when we're denying ourselves, this rawness, the painful bits, that we don't really grow from it. But yeah, I do believe that, if you can feel it, you can heal it, but you need to allow yourself to do that. We don't want to do the ugly crying and the snot and things like that.
Oh God, we're so on the same page. I call it emotional alchemy. It's bloody painful and it's uncomfortable, but ultimately it's a bit like ripping off a band-aid, isn't it? Go in and face it, allow yourself to feel it. And it's going to be less scary to feel the feels than it is to constantly try and whack-a-mole like you do, like squash it down. Because if you keep squashing it down, it's just going to build and build and build and eventually probably explode, either in a way that you don't want to outwardly, or manifest potentially as illness or disease or anything else going on in the life that it attracts like, doesn't it? And I always think that emotions are such a great gift because we came here to feel. And, I think the deeper you go, the higher you can go as well. The pendulum swings both ways. It's all about duality at the end of the day and balance.
Yeah, I think like dig really deep, and it will hurt. It's like poking a wound, isn't it? But I think the more you dig out, the more space you create, and the more positivity that can come in.
Yeah, hold your breath and dive in.
Yeah, just
no.
You will feel like you're drowning, but
yeah, and they're just feelings. I mean, we're such, we're so funny how we feel, and then we're afraid to feel, and that's what we are. We're sentient beings. It's how we navigate through life. It's such a funny thing to me. It's like we often build things up. Our minds are such strange creatures too. I find sometimes as humans, we feel something and we may not know where the feeling comes from. So we immediately create a story. Well, I must be feeling that because of this, but actually it might not be because of that. but we need to somehow make it logical. We need to somehow rationalize those feelings. But what if we just let ourselves sit in the feelings without the need to know why we're having them sometimes? It then is like, sit back, just observe, just allow, and then it will probably float by like a passing cloud. Before you know it, you're feeling better. It's
Yeah.
funny. We're such funny creatures. We are bizarre creatures, humans, I think.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, although it's our story and our life and our journey, we try and justify anything we go through, don't we? Like, we need that story, because people say, "Oh, things happen for a reason." Yes, but why? And like, just did. Like, to me, I'll say, if somebody invite me out somewhere, and I just go, "No, no, thank you," and they expect a story. It's like, "No, no, thank you." It's a complete
It's a
sentence.
reason. Yeah. Justification.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't have to justify if I want to sit there, with myself, or fester. I don't need to justify and add a story, but I think we do, don't we? It's that whole thing about grief and going mad. Like, well, there must be a story, there must be a reason.
Yeah, we've been so taught to need a reason for anything. One thing I'm learning more and more is just to sit in the mystery, be able to sit in the mystery without needing to know why we're going through something. And I mean, there were aspects, I guess, of my own life and especially my fertility journey that were really not able to be rationalized, where doctors were scratching their heads and nobody had an answer for me. And when you're left like that, you're all at sea without a paddle, it's terrifying and it's traumatic, but on some level it really is a great gift, because then that's when you turn to your own self and you're able to kind of lift yourself up and find your inner core strength and really mother yourself, really be there for yourself. And I think as humans, when we look at the pandemic, for example, that was uncharted territory, really quite uncharted territory. And I think as a collective, we're really learning, oh, hang on a minute, what do we do in this scenario? How do we get through this? Everyone seems to be going through the collective massive shift, but also when you talk to people, everyone seems to be going through their own individual personal challenges, huge challenges at the moment.
Yeah. And I think there's going to be like this ripple effect. Like, I think it's an awakening for many years to come. Do you mean we're still seeing losses, aren't we? Because the world's still a little bit crazy, and we still feel a little bit, a bit ginger about coming out, and what's it going to be like now? And so I just think this, I don't know, I do think it's an awakening. I think the world's very different now than what it was before.
I agree. I think we're being forced back into our hearts, really,
Yeah.
forced into our compassion and our empathy for ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a wave of change, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, I met so many people. Again, they didn't know it was grief, so they just think they're going slightly mad. But so many people that left jobs they'd already done, or had gone back to do that course and that job, because we hit rock bottom. We didn't realize our job's not as stable as what we thought, or we didn't have a job at all. We lost it, and there was no finance coming in. And people were, going back on the path they should have been on all along. Going to study that course for a totally different career. Being a stay-at-home parent rather than working all those hours. And I think it was beautiful for many.
That's a huge part of the gift, I think. It's like the work you do. Life is for living. Get on it. Get on with the business of it, right? Get on with the business of living.
Yeah.
And it's like that as I look up, there's a quote in front of me, and I think she was on American Idol or one of those shows. There was this beautiful singer called Nightbird, and she was dying of cancer, and her real name is Jane. And when she went on the show, she was tiny little elven looking beautiful little woman, and she was a beautiful singer-songwriter. She wrote this song called It's Okay, and it was about her journey with cancer. And when Simon Cowell kind of said to her, are you okay? And, how are you here? And she said this quote, and it was, you can't wait until life isn't hard anymore before you decide to be happy.
Oh,
And it
wow.
stayed with me. It really touched me. It really stayed with me. And shortly after, I mean, she was alive. I was at home in Australia when I saw the performance. My sister played it for me, I think on YouTube or something. But that quote stayed with me, and she sort of stayed with me. And then I don't know how many months after it was, I had what I could only describe as a visitation from her. And I didn't know she'd passed, but she was like, I felt this energy, and I felt this message came through, and she said, "You've got to sing. You've got to sing." And I was like, whoa. And then I Googled, and she'd just passed. But she came to me and she said, "You must sing. You need to do it. It's something you've always wanted to do." And I was flabbergasted because obviously I'd never known her. I just watched her
Yeah.
once on a YouTube, and I really kind of feel like she was a bit of an earth angel or an angelic soul that had kind of come in and visited and given me that message. And then literally I'm singing on stage this Friday at the Mind Body Soul exhibition experience. I'm finally like putting myself out there to do it. I mean, these are the things, isn't it? You know, we must get on with the business of living, and we must say yes to the call of the soul. And I mean, this was, like you say, something I've wanted to do since I was a child. Reserved my voice for the singing in the shower.
Yeah.
Been training my voice for a number of years, so actually have the credentials, but wasn't putting myself out there, wasn't doing what I'd really wanted to do because I was so terrified. But there's something in that, and that quote, I just think, you know, life's always going to have ups and downs. Life's always going to have curveballs.
Yeah.
You're either going to get on and do the things you want to do, or are you going to let yourself wait in the wings until it's over? Like,
Yeah. And it's because I've worked like at end of life. I mean, I worked as a chemotherapy nurse for most of my career. And yes, there's the happy ever after stories and people respond really well to treatment. But I did work a lot with the dying as well. The most privileged job in the world.
that's
Absolutely
amazing work,
beautiful.
Shelley.
Absolutely
Thank you
beautiful.
for that. I mean, gosh, that must touch you.
Oh, it was, well, do you know, again, I wanted to work in hematology and oncology for years, but I just worked in acute medicine. Not just, anyone works in acute medicine, you realize it's not just, it's mental.
I know, you keep saying this. I was just a nurse. I was just, excuse me. Probably, my dad's a doctor, and I swear the nurses work 10 times harder than the doctor.
No comment. But yeah, I wanted to work in hematology and oncology for years because my mum was diagnosed with lung cancer, a very strange one, the lung cancer that presents in the throat. And I wanted to pay something back and work there, and I didn't. And it was only when Badger died that I just thought, oh my God. And it was just the push I needed, like the tower card in tarot, that kind of, you didn't make the change, we're doing it for you. And when I went there, it was a sense of, I think we have this in life, that you have these points where you just think, this is where I'm meant to be. And as I got there and started doing the work, it felt, I don't know, like everything just aligned, and I loved it, and I felt really privileged. But that, you know, and the privilege was all mine because, you know, I'm nearly 50, I'm 49 this year, and I still
so that's why the birthday, the big birthday.
Yes, lots of birthday celebrations, padding it out. But I keep the life lessons with me, you know, and I don't allow myself to get too down because I think I'm alive. That's a privilege denied to many. I'm going to keep going. I've had friends younger than me die, you know, and we know, like, my dad died. Me and my husband have no grandparents alive. We've lost so many like pregnancies, you know, we've had so much loss that I just think I haven't come this far to only come this far. And the life lessons, you know, I'm going to try and remember them all now, but it's like, speak your truth, which I think people realize I probably do that quite well. And it's simple things, so simple, like do more of what you love, live your life, not someone else's version of it, connect to something bigger than yourself, whether that's God, your community, your family, just, you know, go beyond yourself. But really simply, just be happier. And it's like what you said, Nightbird said, you know, like just stop waiting, you know, for that certain person, that bank balance, you know, the promotion. Just be happier now, you know. And I think we need to, you know, like, as I said, Badger, you say life goes on. And we really need to. I just have this real feistiness that if you don't step forward, you're always going to be in the same place. And that terrifies me more than death itself. Do you know what I mean?
Me too.
That whole, like I said, like, I haven't come this far.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like when I wrote my first book, Positive Change is a self-kick book, it's got quite a jovial introduction because people said, oh, you're just annoyingly positive. And they honestly think I've been through nothing in life. I probably like don't have a car. I just, trot everywhere on a unicorn, sprinkling glitter as I go. But that's not me at all. Actually, like we've had at least 7 miscarriages. My last pregnancy nearly broke me. As I said, we've got no grandparents. My auntie, who was like my mother figure, she died. So many people have gone before me. And I'm thinking, I'd love a unicorn and sprinkling glitter, but that's not been my life story. But, I'm going to show up every day as best as I can for myself and the whole universe.
We've got nothing in common, have we, at all? I mean, we haven't said to the viewers yet, but my dad's nickname is Badger too. And I mean, I couldn't believe the synchronicity between us. And then go the miscarriages and everything. I mean, it's a tough old journey, but what I love about you, Shelley, is that it's in spite of it all, you're still smiling. And I love that. That is real. It's like real warrior spirit. And I think the ones that make it look easy are often the ones that are really embodying it and walking their talk and really going through it. And, we make it look easy. And people think, oh, look at her. She's so blessed. She's got it all. But it's not always the case. But what's really apparent is that you wouldn't want anybody else to suffer the way that you've suffered. You wouldn't want anyone else to struggle the way that you've struggled. And that's part of the empath in you that wants everybody else to be comfortable too, that is shining a light in the world in spite of it. And that's the beautiful optimistic part. That's the gift in it, in the sorrow, I think. We're so blessed, we're so blessed to have you, and that you're out here doing this work, and that you're writing your books, and that you are alchemizing it. You're turning it into something. I can imagine like gifting your books to people like that are going through a hard time, especially your first one. I'm going to buy it because I really want to read it. But I can see that as being a real gift, as like a kick in the ass for anyone who's like being too down on themselves and going, look, bang, life's for living. Read this.
Yeah, I've got a friend, Jane. We worked together many years ago. She was our amazing healthcare assistant on the ward. And when someone's like, got self-pity or going through a loss, she buys them Positive Change as a self-kick book. It's got all the tools in it. It's got the humor in it. But it's, it's also quite emotive because obviously I wrote it having just, I think it was the year before I left nursing. So it has got about the regrets of the dying and things like that in it. But she literally does that sort of like when someone's going through a breakup or feeling a bit, bit of a victim, shall we say. She's just like, here's Shelley's book.
Here's this. I love it. Yeah. I really love it. So for our Alchymystic Conference, what can people expect from your session?
So I am talking about grief. I'm talking about how to find positive in it. And I know it's really hard. And that's what we were saying earlier, is that obviously I come from a place of great loss, but it's like looking for those lessons, looking for trying to rediscover yourself in life. And it is like looking at your own mortality, I think, and that all those like life lessons about what do I do, what do I want, what do I not want, and just healing. It is, the lessons. And I had this it's not meant lightly, but one of the chapters in Positive Changes was called From Mess to Message. But I think
That's
we
brilliant.
go but I think we are rock bottom mess, but I've done it, you do it, we come through this mess, and our message can help someone else at the start of that painful journey. We can become someone else's guidebook. We've got a different story, different personality, different life lessons we've signed up for. But I just think, look for the lesson in it, and it's so annoying, but what you feel, you can heal.
Oh my God, you're a wordsmith like me. I love you. I was interviewing Yolanda as well this week. Such a wordsmith. The words are so incredible, like the way that we can use words, the power of words to heal as well. It's part of the alchemy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the way that we use words can change our perception as well, and the way that we view what's happening and speak about it as well. Our language can really alchemize what's going on.
Yeah, well, do you think like some people are quite scared of spirituality, and And I just sort of like, so we talk a lot about gratitude, don't we? And I swear by gratitude. I do a gratitude journal every night. But another one of my chapters is like gratitude, not attitude. And it is, you know, just making it more friendly, that people aren't afraid to try this gratitude thing. Like if I said like do a gratitude journal, they'd be like, nah, it's a bit woo-woo for me. But if you say, okay,
it's so conditioned as a humanity, aren't we? It's like,
yeah,
you know, it's reverse psychology. People think that if they're positive, they'll jinx it, but actually it's the complete opposite. You're allowed to expect the best. You know, you don't have to expect the worst and hope for the best. Expect the best, hope for the best, and do and just keep expecting it. And what you attract, you'll receive back.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was raised a lot, not raised by, but there was certainly around me the kind of people who are like, oh, think the worst case scenario and then you'll never be disappointed. I'm like, no, no, thank you. I'm going to
fulfilling prophecy there.
And I'm like, I'm going to aim high. And the worst case scenario for me would be like in the middle. At least I'm not rock bottom. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like aim high, be like a bungee cord. Don't go all the way down. Sort of like bounce back a little bit. Get those resilience in there. But no, don't think the worst at all. You know,
there's so many facets to it, though, aren't there? I mean, I remember when I first read "Is It the Secret?" I remember thinking, oh, no, it's not as cut and dry as that. There's many different facets. Obviously, we've got to work through our own subconscious programming, but I would rather be positive and expect the best. You got more of a chance then than if you're just sitting there going, oh no, it's never going to be me. It's not going to happen. I mean, I did that for many years when I was younger. It didn't work. It definitely didn't work.
I remember when I was on Colin's the alchemy lab actually, and he was like, sort of, one tip can you share? And it's like, just every day when you wake up, you have a choice whether to be positive or negative. Always choose positive, because at the end of the day, take the same amount of time, same amount of energy, but very different outcomes. So always choose positive. You know what I mean? Because it's still a choice, isn't it?
Absolutely. No matter what situation we find ourselves in, no matter what the challenge is, I always say it's either going to be a lesson or a blessing. You know, either way, even if things don't go the way you hoped or expected, you're going to get the gold. You're going to extract the gold from the situation, so long as you expect to find the gold, so long as you stay in absolute trust. This is warrior stuff, a lot of this, and is what part of what I coach people through, is like, just stay in absolute unshakable faith that no matter the challenge, no matter the obstacle, you're going to overcome. The solution will be presented to you, and it might not be in the way you expect. So you just keep surrendering it over to spirit, over to the divine, over to your higher self, and just stay in trust and sit in that unknown. And I always say, like, what if the unknown, like, we think of the unknown as being endless darkness, right? Or we don't know it, so it's dark, it's bleak, it's scary. What if the unknown was endless light and miracles? What if it was, it's literally the my friend Damien calls it the pregnant void. You know, it's pregnant with all possibility, that darkness. It's like a womb space. Anything could be created. So what then would you go forth and create? Are you going to expect more darkness and doom and gloom in that unknown? Or are you going to expect, wow, things could suddenly change and all potential is possible depending on our perception?
Yeah. See, I believe, I could say KISS is another one of my things. Keep it so simple. So I kiss life all the time. Just keep it really simple.
I love that.
Yeah. And up here on my office wall, it's got the best is yet to come. And it's really simple, isn't it? But that's why I am like I am. I just think if it's a really crap day, you know, same unicorns in the vets. I haven't really got a unicorn. But, you know, like when life's not brilliant, because, you know, I am human. I just think, oh, the best is yet to come. And I say, universe, surprise and delight me beyond my wildest dreams now. And I just have this unwavering faith that things happen for a reason, divine timing, you know.
Absolutely. Speaking of more quotes, I've got to show you this one. So this week, I cleared a huge subconscious program off myself, and I couldn't figure out what it was that was making me feel this way. And you know, we obviously, before we started recording, we had a conversation, and you said, oh, you know, you're doing so well and whatever. And I'd even in successes have often felt like a huge failure. And I kind of tapped into this emotion, and it was a feeling of really subconscious. Like, it was very deeply buried, bitter disappointment in myself, like really bitter disappointment. And when I looked at what this belief system was, it was this belief that, well, first of all, I can't be too successful and I must not enjoy my own success, because if I'm successful or I really enjoy my success and I show myself as enjoying my success, others will be disappointed in themselves. It will make others feel like they're not succeeding, right? There was this it was like a really subconscious program. And my sister was helping me. She does a bit of EFT, so we were tapping on it. I was doing my clearing, she was doing hers, and I was like, holy cow, this is absolutely huge. And it makes sense why I self-sabotage all the time. You know, I to finish a project, God, it's like the most difficult thing. And when I cleared it and we changed it, we alchemized it, and we made it into, on every level of my being, that I have full permission to succeed and to enjoy my success, because that will then inspire others to be the best they can be. You know, that in me embracing my gifts and talents gives permission, and like when others see that, they will be inspired rather than feel like, you know, oh, well, someone else is doing it, so I can't, right? And then I was cleaning out a cupboard today, and I found, I don't even not even know where this came from. It's from my friend Nick Williams. Hi, Nick. But I didn't even know I had this. And the quote is, many others live off the bounty of you being inspired and living what you were born to do.
Now that is a message, girl.
Isn't that the universe going bang? Like, I literally cleared that program yesterday, and then I found
amazing.
This. Isn't that?
And it's in bold print. You can't not listen, can you?
You cannot miss that. You cannot miss that. And yesterday as well, on the same day, so I went to meet my beautiful friend Dandelion, he's amazing performer and just amazing everything, but he makes magical garments, like magical, they're like costumes, but he imbues them with magical energy. And he's made me this most exquisite pair of angel wings to wear on stage when I sing on Friday. And I feel like I've now got just magical protection armor, so that I feel supported and safe while I'm stepping into the unknown and stepping into this new role, this new part of my purpose. So this is, you know, what if your life were to end tomorrow, what would you want to do, is the question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is that facing your own mortality sort of thing. Like, if this was your last day on earth, what would you do? But even, you know, for people uncomfortable around death, it's think about, you know, if money was no object, what would you do tomorrow, kind of thing, because people don't like the word death, do they? No. But it is like, what would you do differently? And my husband says to me, oh, if you didn't have to work, what would you do? And it's just like, still do my job with my clients, probably more voluntary. You know, I'd still work in schools and things like that. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, that we're always waiting for something, aren't we? But you shouldn't, you know, because I don't know, it's this KISS thing, keep it so simple. But if you don't go after what you want, then you'll never have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't put it any simpler than that, you know. So there's no point saying I want to do this, I want to do that, and if you're not going after it, you're never going to have it. So just go for it. Do you know what I mean? Be happy.
You know, we'll go and do the things that we don't really want with great ease, because we probably don't care about the outcome. But it's the perfectionist in us, I think, half the time that blocks us. You know, what if I don't do it as well as I want to do it? You know, what if it's not as good as I think?
Yeah, I think just go for it. I don't believe in perfection. I got very feisty in my first book. Like, there's no such thing as perfection, because perfection is someone's opinion of what should be, but as no one's perfect, no definition is. So just get on with it. Have a go.
I love you, Shelley. Crack the whip, Shelley. So if people work with you, do you offer one-on-one sessions?
Yeah.
So I'm betting that you crack the whip rather lovingly. But how do you work in your sessions when people come to see you?
So I do like a 6-week program, and the first one is sort of like they're all taken. The themes are taken from the chapters of my first book, and it's like right here, right now is one of them, and it's looking, you know, meeting you where you're at. Where are you? And then we break it down to like, how did you get here? Where did you think you were going? And it's just bringing in all the tools. I do timelines. Resilience is really powerful. Very, very passionate about self-love. And I'm sure I've offended people over the years when I say the relationship you have with yourself is the most important one of all, because it's the only one from your first breath to your last. So make it count. But yeah, I mean, I did do a group program, but it was, I just felt it was a bit like whack-a-mole. Is it the whack-a-mole thing? Just sort of, you've got that going on, you've got that. And I was like, I'd rather just focus, you know, sort of thing. So I do one-to-ones, yeah. But I just take them on a 6-week journey, because I think everything in life is steps. I don't care if you're doing like gingery steps or massive leap of faith or somewhere in between. You know, it's making it achievable, really. But yeah, I like the one-to-one. It's the connection, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think it helps people really look at how ultimately it's how you feel that counts more than anything, isn't it? You know, like it's all relative, you know. To be successful, it's a feeling, or to be fulfilled is a feeling, or to be happy is a feeling. And it doesn't necessarily matter what the package looks like in the outer world. If we can feel that now, we can kind of fake it till we make it. I think that then helps to attract in what it is that is really genuinely what's going to fulfill that and allow us to live that best life.
Yeah, I think attraction, alignment. I mean, alignment's one of my favorite words. I think it's so goddamn sexy. I love the word alignment. I like magic, alchemy, alignment, but all those kind of things. And that's what I said earlier. Like, you've got a choice: tea, coffee, positive, negative. You know, there's always choices to be made, but always go for the positive, because, you know, as I said, same amount of time, same amount of energy, very different outcome. It's that attraction. You know, like, I have not so many people now, but lots of people I used to be around them with really heavy energy. And it's just like putting a bad apple in the middle and expecting you know, not to be affected. It's not like that, you know. So yeah, be that positive person, or fake it till you make it, you know, and just see what you attract. I love a vision board. I've got one up here now, you know, and I do believe that whole, you know, that subconscious mind, you know, get the photos up, get the positive affirmations up, get it all up there, you know, and just I act as if it's already happened is what I do, you know.
That's
like,
the
you've
one.
only got £10 in your bank, but you really want that job, and spend it on a really nice show, a really nice dress, and start wearing it like you've already got the job, you've already got the income, you know. Act as if it's already happened is a powerful one, I think.
It does. It absolutely works. And I have to say, you know, even if I basically have not a bean in the bank account, I can still look good. That might be because I've spent all my money on dresses, but we won't talk about that.
We are very similar.
But life's for living. Life is for living, isn't
it? It comes back to self-love, self-worth.
Yes, exactly. One must absolutely look and feel fabulous.
Yes.
I love it. Oh my God, we're going to have such a giggle in November. It's going to be brilliant. So
I can't wait.
Find you, Shelley?
So it's probably easier just to head on over to my website, which is just shelleyfknight.com, because there you can find the books, my Once Upon a Time podcast, my social media channels. Then it sort of like goes through what's happened most recently. So I think there was an article, then another podcast and things like that. So yeah, and they can ping me an email or anything they like, really, as long as it's pleasant. No, keep it PG.
Just be nice, people. Play nice. She's been through enough. Amazing. And I'll put all the links below in the comments so people can find you really easily and go to whatever part of your socials or website or anything they feel drawn to. And I'll pop up some links to the books as well, so that I just want to gift your books. I think your book actually might be a really good gift for my dad, Badger. I think that might be a really nice present. So maybe I'll just accidentally purchase one of them for his Christmas present. It might be really nice.
Oh, I think my book's probably dedicated to my Badger.
I know, and that's what I mean. The alignment is really not lost on me. It's amazing. Well, he really needs to know that right now, right? To live for the moment right now. He really needs that. So
yeah, we're always sort of waiting for that thing to come along, but you know, not everything we want comes along, does it really? Yeah.
Live for the moment. So before we go, are there any parting words you'd like to share with the viewers, and any potential people who might be showing up for Alchymystic as well?
No, I'd love them to join. I think it's just going to be like one big girly sleepover, isn't it?
Well, boys, column is going to be
Yeah,
there. There are boys.
anyone you identify, come along. And I think it's just going to be a real safe space of like no judgment. You know, I think there's going to be tears. I think there's going to be laughter. Colin's already told me it's really good food, so that sort of swung it for
Yeah,
me.
good food. And
Yeah,
it's a beautiful building, a beautiful venue as well, Abbey House. Big stone house.
yeah,
We've got the whole place to ourselves.
yeah. No, I think people again. I know, like you know, people with like money issues and things like that. But I think if you're aligned to it, you know, if we've resonated with you today, then come join us. We'd be privileged, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. I can't wait. I can't wait to see you in person and give you a hug and
Yeah, because big hugs.
big hugs. I think that's it. We've all, I know that we're now basically pretty much a year out of pandemic or the lockdowns, but I still think we're recovering from that separation, that sense of separation and not being around people. Every time I'm, around people now, I'm like, and I know, they're still saying that, that COVID's around, we have to be a bit careful, but still there's this part of my soul that's just like, but we can't be separated from each other. We just can't. It's too much.
Yeah, I am a hugger. If anyone does come and see me, I am a hugger.
Me too.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, I've absolutely loved meeting you. I was saying, wasn't I, off air, that you are just sort of like my spiritual superwoman. So yeah, my heart is full. So thank you.
Oh my God. Well, it takes one to know one, girl. Look at everything that you've done and everything that you are. What a beautiful, you're just in service, aren't you? I mean, it's just gorgeous. It really is. What an honor. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Shelley. I'm so looking forward to meeting you in person. And just to say to all our viewers, please come and join us at Alchymystic on the 5th and 6th of November in Glastonbury, and come and have a love in. And if you can't make it, do drop your comments below. Love to hear from you. If our interview with Shelley helped you at all, do get in touch with her and check out all her books and her website and everything. And until then, yeah, go live your life to the full and love yourselves. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Shelley.
thank you.